And we are live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Live with Renee. I'm a little sad today because today is the season finale, but I am super duper excited to have with me Dawn Paramore from Tranquil Solutions. She is a certified therapist, and I also have Raquel Shortt with me today. She is the plant-based prodigy. So today we're going to be talking about self-care being self-preservation from the inside out. So we're going to be talking about mental health, as well as we're going to get a couple of recipes and some good tips about how to keep our bodies in tip-top shape from the inside out so that we can avoid disease and getting sick and illness and all of that good stuff. So Dawn, thank you so much for saying yes. You are absolutely one of my favorite people on the planet. So
I feel the same way about you.
I kind of figured you would say yes, so I'm super excited to have you. And Raquel, for those that don't know, this is my amazing daughter. She is working on her PhD. She's a research scientist. She is studying cancer cures. And so that's really exciting. So I can't wait to see what she's got coming up in the next few years when she's officially Dr. Rock, as we like to call her. So thank you, Raquel. And she's going to have a couple recipes for today for us, and she's going to be sharing all of her wonderful wisdom with us. So I want to start with Dawn today. Is that your baby in the background?
That is. So I apologize in advance. I have a 22-month-old today. So talking about self-care, it's a great time to actually tie all these pieces in, especially for those moms that are in my position and they have careers and they're in school and they have children.
Yes, absolutely. So I've been there before. So, but my baby, obviously, as you guys can see, she's 25 now. So, so let's go ahead and get into it today. So let's talk about the importance of self-preservation. And it's so funny. We were on the phone talking, and you were like, you have all this great stuff, but you don't have anything about how to take out self-care and how to take care of yourself. And so let's talk about, I know you have some tips for us. So I'm going to let you take over as a professional here, and let's get into it.
So as Renee was saying, thank you so much. I'm Dawn Paramore, and I have a private practice in Delaware, among some other things, clinically trained really to handle trauma. But self-care is something that's really important. A lot of times we just ignore those things. So I'm the queen of analogies. If anyone has known me, they know that I like to speak with tons of them because it's a way for us to remember the information given as opposed to just giving it to you. So welcome to Flight 101 Self-Care. I am your flight attendant for this evening. With that being said, I want you to think of taking a trip. And I know in the midst of COVID, we were not able to do that, but I want you to think about self-care as a trip, a voyage you're about to go on. The first thing that you have is your ticket. It tells you your final destination. That is your goals, your dreams, your ambitions. Why is that important when we're talking about self-care? Because if you miss your flight, that means that you derail your goals. You derail all the things that you have in store for yourself, which is why this is important. You also need to know the second thing is that when you're on a flight, it has either a direct or connecting flight. What does that mean? That means the people that are on the plane with you, they're either going to get off with you and have the same goal as you, or they're going to connect and go somewhere else. Or you might very well do the same. So understand that there's people and places that you might have to redirect your flight just so that you can stay on target for your self-care. And that is self-care. Most people think that it's getting your nails done and getting your hair done. That's true, it is. But sometimes it's also ridding yourself of people that are toxic or just knowing when to walk away from a situation that is not beneficial to you. That's self-care as well. So when do you deplane? The other thing is, when you get on that plane, the flight attendant will ask you if you're sitting at an emergency exit. She will ask you if you can sit there. Why? Because that comes with two different things. The first one is that you have the luxury of having all this space. The second one, though, if something happens like life often does, are you able to help other people before you get off, because literally, when you're sitting at the emergency exit, you're supposed to assist others first before you even think about getting off. Why is that important? Because oftentimes we take on way too much and our own affairs are not together. So if you're sitting at an emergency exit and you know that you're not able to help other people because you still have your stuff all messed up, it's time to ask the flight attendant for you to be seated. That could be, you know what, I'm not ready to sit here because I need therapy. I have some things going on and I don't know how to take care of myself. I need to move because I am, I can't do this right now because all these other things are happening. That's a reason to say, check please. And that's self-care. You have to look inside and say, you know what, ask yourself, can I sit here? Some people, it's hard for them to answer those types of questions. The third thing is, once everything gets going, the doors are closed, you're sitting, you're waiting. Most people put their earbuds on and they stop listening. Not you, not for self-care. This is the time that you have to listen every single thing what the flight attendant has to say, because the next few set of instructions are the most important instructions that you're going to get on that flight, other than knowing where your connecting flight will happen or what's going to happen at the gate when you land. They say that on the aisles, there's lights on both sides. So in the event that the plane were to lose any electric, you know where the aisles are. Question, this is a self-care question. Do you know what your emergency exit looks like? Do you know who lights up in your life that can keep you on track so that can guide you to the path where you're supposed to be? Mm-hmm. Think about that. And if for those of you that are watching me, write this stuff down and revisit it. Think about it. I want you to think about this stuff. Where does my flight take me? Do I have a direct or connecting flight? Are the people around me supposed to be with me, or are they supposed to be gone and I'm supposed to develop other people? Can I sit at this emergency exit? And also, am I aware that the tracking lights in the aisle will light up so that they will guide me? Who's going to light up for me? The other thing that the flight attendant will say is that the very seat that you're sitting on becomes a flotation device. How many resources are around you right now that are in your grasp right now? You don't even know how to access it. All you know is that it has one dimension, one function, but it has several functions if you know how to use it appropriately. That very seat that gets you to your final destination is the same seat that will save you in the event that you need to be upheld to float. Who are your support systems? Write those people down. The ones that are going to check you or not just say whatever you want them to say. The ones that are going to check you when you think you can't take another step. Who are those people? And do you know how to use them? Do you text them? Do you call them? How do you access people? Here's the other thing the flight attendant will say, and I'm going to tell you, you heard the baby in the background. This is something I'm still working on. They say if the cabin pressure changes, that oxygen masks will fall. They tell you, please put the mask on yourself first before you assist others. I'm going to say it one more time for the people in the back. Yes. Please put the mask on yourself first before you even think about turning and putting it on another person. Why is this important? Let's think about it. So my son's name is Christopher. He's 22 months today. Let's just say we're on an airplane. We're flying somewhere and we have this god-awful, turbulence. We lose pressure. The oxygen mask fall. I'm like in mommy mode. And I'm like, I have to take care of my baby. I got to take care of my baby. I put the mask on Christopher. The pressure changed. I pass out. Now, all of a sudden, the captain is giving all these directions and they're saying, I want you to gather your things, get by the emergency exit, follow the lights down here. I need you to get off, the plane. I'm passed out. Why? Because I didn't follow the number one instruction of the flight attendant to put the mask on myself. Christopher is too young to pick his mom up, who's 45, and take her off of an airplane. But if I put the mask on myself first, I could have quickly administered the mask to my son, and then I could have picked him up because I'm strong enough to get him off the plane. How many times do we do that with our jobs? When we have these warning signs, we got to take care of ourselves first, and we don't, especially now with COVID-19. We work so much on Zoom and platforms such as this, and we find ourselves engaging in more meetings than we've ever had in our lifetime, going from one to the next, to the next, to the next. Did you eat during that time? Did you get to use the bathroom during that time? Did you step away and walk away from your desk, your office, and take a walk around the block? Did you do some deep breathing and just say, I need to reprogram, I need to reset? Did you get to do all those things? Most likely you don't. To the next meeting, to the next meeting. And then you can't understand why you're burned out at the end of the night and you can't get anything done and you just don't want to get out the bed.
Absolutely. So I want to pause there for a quick moment because now I have some questions. Because it is so important, I feel like, to take care of ourselves, and especially usually as women, we are notorious for taking care of everything and everyone else but ourselves. And I don't know if that's just the nature of most women. But so for women who are feeling that struggle of, I've got work, I've got a family, I've got a kid, I have to do these things. What do you recommend for them to be able to there's something in my eye, guys, to be able to take that moment and say, okay, I have to fit time in for me? What do you recommend for them?
To get someone like you. So let me tell you a true story. And I say that, and Renee's laughing because she knows exactly what I'm talking about. So recently, I just hired Renee to be my life coach and my business planner because I realized that I was taking on too much. I'm a doctoral student at Wilmington University. I am Christopher's mother. I am also a business owner of 3 business. One of them is 3. You can't see my fingers. 3. I know I took for a moment with the 3 and it's only 1. And I also have a nonprofit, and I have a desire to do so much more. I'm in a sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha. So you have all these different things. And what I realized after getting yelled at by my billing specialist that I hired, she's like, yeah, you're burning yourself out. And I didn't even realize it. But I knew I needed help. I think the first thing is to be honest with yourself and not think that you have it all together. I had to realize that I was in trouble and that time is money, and those simple things were costing me money. And I hired a life coach, and literally my life coach works wonders. I know it's probably hard to hear it because she's on right now, but she had me with a planner. I met with her. She was strategically helping me set some things up, things that I couldn't see. And I just want to make sure you understand, I'm a licensed clinical therapist, but the therapist needed help. There is nothing wrong with that. So acknowledge where your shortfalls are and know how to get help. That's the one thing. And don't feel bad about it, because just like the analogy with the airplane, if Christopher passes out, he can't take care of me. And I have to be understanding and aware that, if I don't take care of me, nothing happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that wasn't the answer that I was expecting, but thank you so much for the shout out. But I'll talk about that really quickly, just knowing when to ask for help. And I've talked about this before in some of my other lives, but with Dawn, for me, I felt like it was pretty easy. If you know everything that you have that you're working on in a given day, being able to prioritize that, time block it, and really make time for the things that you want to do. And I didn't add any more time to her day. We literally just sat down and we restructured her day and what it looked like. I also had her, offload a few things to her staff because she's got a staff. And at some point, if you're that busy, you do have to think about hiring other people. But I want to go back to, so there are still people who, let's say they don't want to hire someone. They still feel like that their life is their family, their life is their work, and they just really struggle with taking that time for themselves. Could it be maybe they schedule like a mini vacation for themselves, or should they really every single day squeeze in some time for themselves? What would you recommend?
Every single day, squeezing some time for yourself. Absolutely. Every single day. Do you take a breath every second? Yes, right? Yeah. Why? Because it fuels your body to keep going, and it helps something as simple as a breath helps the rest of the organs in your body. So just like you take a breath every second, you should do something every day. It doesn't have to be for long periods of time, but just enough for you to reset. That's it. You need a break. That's why we have lunch breaks.
Yes. And in this, like you said, during COVID, people aren't taking lunch breaks. They're
No.
working from the time they get up because we don't necessarily have to get dressed, or if we're getting dressed, it's from, the waist up because that's all that people can see on camera. We're not having to drive anywhere. So we are just literally sitting in front of a computer all day, every day. And I'll tell you guys, at one point I was like, this is just absolutely crazy. I would look up, it's dark outside, I'm still working. I was eating lunch at like 5:30, or on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have our goal grinders and we meet with our girls from 3:30 to 5. I'd be like eating at 3:30, 4 o'clock while I'm on with them. Luckily Dr. Roz and I tag team. So I could be like, okay, give me like 5 minutes. Let me, swing down some food. And if it wasn't me, it was her saying, I need like 5 minutes. Let me just eat real quick. And then you look up and the day is gone. It's time to either eat dinner, shower, go to bed, and then repeat. So I can share what I've done because I realized that I wasn't feeling like myself. I felt like I was becoming lazy. Thank goodness I haven't gained any weight, but I still felt like my body just wasn't itself. So instead of having a chair that I sit in all day, I found this wonderful bicycle that rolls under your desk, and it's like a real bike. So I'm able to now ride my bike while I'm working. You have to have one of those stand up, sit down desks though. If anybody wants a referral, I got the desk as well as the bike from Amazon. I also bought one of the smaller treadmills that you can raise and lower the arms so that you can slide under your desk. So I can slide that under my desk if I want to, so I can walk while I work. But I had to figure out a way to make sure that I was getting up, I was getting active, I was doing something. And I noticed the shift just from riding my bike for literally a couple hours while I'm working. I am now more productive because I'm up, I'm doing stuff, I feel better, my body isn't as stiff. And so I feel like I have put me first. The other thing that I've done in my life is when I was working on season 2 and developing what this was going to look like, I looked back at season 1 and I said, oh my gosh, I did like almost 30 episodes, but in my mind, I wanted every season to have 13 episodes. So I literally planned out about 20 some episodes. And I'm like, Renee, you need a break. Like there are other things that you need to do and take care of. It's okay for you to do 13 episodes for all of the seasons that you do for Live with Renee. Like you're not going to get yelled at. And that is your form of self-care. So those are the things I had to do for myself. Raquel, what have you done self-care wise?
I think what's major for me is I have to sit down and figure out, okay, what are my goals? What do I care about? Right? Because there are so many, as a graduate student, there's so many things that are important that you have to tend to, that you have to think about. You have to think about the past, the now, the future in terms of your degree or your dissertation. And oftentimes self-care can get lost in the book, lost in the articles. And so I had to sit down one day and really write, what is it that I care about? And so I accumulated a list of probably about 10, 12 goals that I wanted to achieve daily, just little things, right? And so that it pinpointed to me, okay, clearly drinking water is important for me. Clearly eating healthy, making sure that the first meal that I eat in the day has fruit is important. So a lot of what I had to do for self-care was catered to food, exercise, and making sure that I had time for like self-reflection or meditation, because in graduate school, your mental state can be a bit wishy-washy, to say the least.
Yes.
And I think it's about creating that time for yourself. You have to, if it's not on your schedule, you're not going to do it, right? So the same way you have to block off meetings, you have to block off, different workshops, webinars. You need to block off that yoga time. You need to block off that time you're going to cook. Block off that time you're going to meditate, right? And put it on your schedule so you don't have to think about it, and then it becomes a ritual. So making sure that at some point throughout the day, I burn some form of calories, whether that be playing basketball outside or doing yoga, doing a home workout, going to the gym, something to burn calories and get my heart pumping. Because being static can also affect your mental health, right? Making sure that, like I said, fruit, is the first thing I have to eat every day. Trying to get a gallon of water down. Things like that. And so that's kind of what self-care looks like for me. And it's funny because I see a lot of my colleagues doing the same thing. We're all carrying around these gallon jugs now.
That's good.
Trying to have more smoothies, drinking your protein shakes every day, working out every day. You have Apple Watches, you get to follow people who also have, you can see how many calories they burn, and you can be in competitions with them. And so that has been my major priority, especially since the pandemic. Just making sure I am eating healthy, I'm working out, and trying to maintain some sort of, mental homeostasis throughout the political climate, graduate school, regular life things.
Thank you. So I want to shift a little bit to how eating affects us in terms of self-care. There's some yes. So growing up, Raquel was a vegan for a while because I was a vegan at the time, and she has transitioned back. I think about 3 years now to being a completely vegan.
Probably about 4.5.
Is it 4 years now? Okay. And I'm slowly transitioning back. I'm no meat. I haven't done any dairy though for almost a month. So I was trying to eliminate a couple other things out of my diet. But I do notice that I feel better. And I'm not advocating that everyone needs to be a vegan. But what I am saying is eating the foods that make your body feel good and that fuel you also help you to be more productive. And that is also a form of self-care. So sometimes, when we're thinking about, hey, I've got limited time, let me just grab some fast food or some junk food. I think part of that self-care is mentally saying to yourself, let me grab an apple, or let me just sit here and make a quick salad for myself, because that's going to give me the fuel that I need to continue to be productive for the rest of my day. So we're going to, and Dawn, we just quickly want to go back to you before we get into what Raquel is going to cook tonight.
I was going to say, I have an interjection if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, go ahead. What's your interjection? Yes, please.
I was going to say, what you mentioned is so true, right? What you put in your body, you get out what you put in, right? So you put trash in, you get trash out. You get good things in, you get good things out. And so what a lot of people don't realize is that your happy hormone or your happy molecule in your body is mainly made in your gut, right? Serotonin, the thing that makes you feel good, comes from your tummy, right? And so if that microbiota is out of balance because of an junk overload or being too toxic, then you're going to start feeling bad, and it's going to start penetrating in other parts of your life, whether that be, poor digestion, skin issues, acne, allergies, things like that. And so, and it also relates to your mental health, right? Because that your serotonin also is going to be going throughout your brain. And that's, like I said, it would make you feel good. So when you have to think about, am I going to eat something that tastes good or eat something that's going to make me feel good and that's going to be nourishment, right? And so we forget that a lot. We go for the things that are tasty, but not the things that are nourishing. And that creates a level of disconnect between our happy hormones.
And the other thing that I've noticed, speaking of nourishment, is I know that our brain has a trigger. So when we're hungry or our body is looking for something and we feed it with the fuel that it needs, that trigger to say, I'm full or I had enough, it happens a lot faster. And so if you notice, like if you eat, like let's say you eat a raw salad or you eat some good vegetables, you feel like you say, oh, I'm fuller faster, but that's because your body and your brain has now said, oh, I got what I needed, I'm good. And so you no longer have that desire to continue to eat, versus if you notice, like my favorite, like I'll say junk food, quote unquote, is spaghetti. I love spaghetti. I will eat it until you have to roll me off of the table, right? But that's because I'm not really giving my body everything that it needs. So your body can just consume because it's still looking for those nutrients. So that's the other thing. You kind of turn off that trigger. Huh?
You hit it right on the nail. The breakdown of why that happens is because a lot of your nourishing foods, so plant foods, are calorie dense, but heavy in nutrients, right? So a lot of the junk foods that we have are nutrient deficient, but calorie dense. And so your body has a mechanism by weight and by calories that says, okay, I'm done, I'm full. And so you can eat and eat and eat those fatty foods because they're dense in calories and they're very lightweight, right? As opposed to your plant foods that are going to be mostly water. They're going to be nice and heavy, but they're going to be light in calories. But the water kind of tricks your body because it's very heavy. It's like, oh, okay, I feel heavy. I think this is enough calories. I feel like I'm good. We're good. We're good.
Yes, so absolutely.
You have to listen to your body. Your body will tell you exactly what it needs, but you have to be open to listening.
Yes, absolutely.
I want to piggyback off of what Raquel was saying. Also, it's about accountability. So, and I tell this to my clients all the time. You have to be willing to acknowledge where your indeficiencies are. You have to be accountable because, I mean, you can ignore till the cows come home, but other things will start to suffer as a result of it. And you have to be honest. If you don't put gas in your car, guess what? It's not going to work, and it's going to stop working at the most inopportune time.
Yes, absolutely. And so his Facebook name is Reese Young. So Mr. Young just posted, let's talk about this real quick, because this is something that people don't really think about, is he says, I'm not a vegan, but when my son and I did a purely plant-based diet, there was a drastic change in the way we felt. Moreover, our bowels, can I say that here, were so much better. And so we don't think about the fact that our bodies, everything that we consume, we have to eliminate. And our body goes through that elimination cycle. And that's while you're sleeping up until about 12 o'clock, or I'll say up until about 4 to 6 hours after you wake up. Your body is still trying to get rid of everything that it consumed the day before. And so when you are eating, plant-based, because you're getting a lot of nutrients and vitamins and fiber, your body's like, yes, let me push all of this out. And studies show that disease, like Raquel said, all the good things happen in your gut, all the bad things happen in your gut too. So disease starts inside of our gut and our intestines. So that is absolutely why it is important that you're having good bowel movements as well. So yes, it is okay to talk about that here. Everyone does it, everyone has it, and everyone needs to do it. Okay. So Raquel, what are we cooking today?
So today, while you guys were talking about while our co-host Ms. Dawn was talking, I was putting our skewers together. So today we're going to be making veggie skewers. And I'm a firm believer in not cheap finds, but like getting a real bang for your buck. For those who are in graduate school, know the struggle. Funds can be limited at times, so you may not always have, access to, Ruth Chris kind of money. And so I went shopping at Aldi, picked up some plant-based burgers. Got a couple of peppers, and then we have some kale. We're gonna have a salad on the side. This is basically an Aldi meal. Shout out to Aldi. But yeah, so we have mushrooms, peppers, and onions on our skewers. What I did with the mushrooms first is I always kind of cook them in cast iron to give them a nice char. But really what you'll put in there is some coconut aminos, onion powder, a little bit of Himalayan sea salt. You can do some teriyaki sauce, just a dab of teriyaki sauce, and then a dab of Worcestershire sauce. I'm gonna let that cook down so all the liquid is gone, and that's what we have on the skewer. So I'm gonna brush these off with a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. What is this? Coconut aminos, some onion powder, and a little bit of steak sauce. We're just gonna brush the skewers with that and toss those in the oven on low for like a low broil for a couple of minutes. And then we have some plant-based patties. These are also seasoned. Just barbecue powder or barbecue seasoning and a little bit of Himalayan sea salt. And like I said, then we're going to have some salad.
That doesn't seem so long to take to actually get it together, and it's healthy.
Yeah, no, and like it does, you can keep it super simple. You don't have to make your meals complex. I'm a firm believer in not changing the food, but changing the ingredients. So today it was really nice outside, and I got to grill with my boyfriend today. And so, in the summer, that's exactly what we do. Black people get together, we cook out, we have the music playing out loud, and they got the kids playing in the back. And so that's the kind of vibe I was feeling today. And I was like, you know what, we're going to have some barbecue. But, you can put a spin on it. You can do it a healthier way than having the pork and the beef and the bacon and the cheese and all those things that can clog your intestinal system. And then fun fact, whenever you grill meat, your meat is already kind of a carcinogen. You can look that up on the WHO website, World Health Organization. But then when you grill it, it becomes more of a carcinogen, which is furthermore why we should not be eating grilled meats.
And if you burn it, you know, that burnt part that everybody likes to eat, that is a completely a carcinogen. Carcinogen. I said that wrong. Carcinogen.
Carcinogen.
Yes, carcinogen. Thank you, Raquel. I couldn't get that out today. Yes. So, I'm so sorry. All of that. We should not be eating burnt food.
So just so people, we don't assume that they know, what is a carcinogen?
A carcinogen
go ahead.
is a substance that can cause harm in the body on the molecular level. And so what that means is, like, basically when you ingest it, it can cause negative downstream effects in your body. It varies per carcinogen, but basically it's toxic for you. You don't want to eat it. You have negative long-term effects or short-term effects. And it depends on what kind of carcinogen. So for example, when you have cigarette smoke and nicotine, tobacco, that's going to be toxic to your lungs, right? But when you're talking about your food, carcinogenic food is going to directly affect your colon and your intestinal system, right? So you can develop anything from stomach, colorectal cancer, colon cancer, rectal cancer, things like that from having those, having a diet heavy in meat, or having a lot of those like grilled foods and things like that. And so they're doing more research to connect those dots. But where the World Health Organization has already labeled those kind of foods a carcinogen, we have the warning, right? The information is there for us. And a lot of studies have shown, if you're interested, you can look in books by Dr. Campbell. He's a health nutritional scientist, and he did studies showing that, you know, the more meat you eat, the higher susceptibility you have of these diseases or health-induced diseases like high blood pressure, diabetes, sometimes eczema, asthma, colorectal cancer, things of that nature.
Thank you.
All right, so let's get to cooking. Dawn, was there anything else in terms of self-care from the mental state, since we're talking about inside out today, that you would like to share?
Yes, actually, I received a text message that I'm looking for now from one of my classmates, and she's also a therapist, and she's like, whatever you do, make sure that you read this. And I just thought it was really good. And it says, self-care is not bath salts and chocolate cake. It's making the choice to build a life you don't need to regularly escape from. I'm gonna say that one more time.
Love it. Yes, one more time.
True self-care is not bath salts and chocolate cake. It's making the choice to build a life you don't need to regularly escape from. Thank you, Diana.
Absolutely. I love that. That is so true. Yes.
That's for Diana.
Yes, that's for Diana. Because that is so true. I read something too that says if you live life, I think it says if you live life right the first time, you won't need to live multiple lives. Like if you do it right the first time, you'll have a great life. And I think that ties directly into living a wonderful life, because you don't feel like you need to escape from your life all of the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. All right, Raquel, you want to talk through what you're doing, what kind of oil you were using?
Absolutely. So always use cast iron. Like I said, it's another way to fortify your food with iron. A lot of people that I know are anemic. There's a way to supplement that with herbs, but if you're doing it on a minimalist scale, cast iron is a good way to go. You should never, ever, never cook with any oils other than grapeseed oil, avocado oil, or sesame oil. Those can be used at high temperatures. Coconut oil and olive oil can only be used at room temperature. You are not supposed to heat those up. We had a conversation about carcinogens. So when you heat those oils up specifically, the molecular structure changes, and what happens is it becomes a carcinogen, which is what we don't want to ingest, right? But
I did not know that.
It is good to be ingested at room temperature. It will help manage yeast throughout the body, help your stomach microbiota, as well as if you like oil pull and leave it in your mouth without swallowing but swishing, it can help whiten your teeth and make sure that you don't have bad bacteria in your mouth. And
go back to that. So it's coconut oil that you would use to swish in your mouth, yes, and to cleanse your mouth.
Absolutely. And then
it's called oil pulling.
yes.
So it's the coconut oil. You swish it for about 30 minutes in your mouth, spit it out, and then you want to brush your teeth and get all the gook out.
Yep.
30 minutes or 30 seconds?
30 minutes.
30 minutes.
30
yes,
minutes.
Like while you're in the shower, maybe after you get out, you can put lotion on, do a small chore, fold some clothes.
Wow.
Yep.
But it will also help whiten your teeth too. So it helps prevent cavities. But yeah, and then you have olive oil that can be used in like salad dressings and things like that, but you never want to cook with it. Like I said, the oils you can cook with are grapeseed, avocado, or sesame. Those can be used at high temperatures. And so that's what we have here on the pan. And we have
I'm going to put that in the chat while you're cooking. Grapeseed, sesame.
Yep, avocado, sesame, and grapeseed. And so we just have some plant-based patties here. Like I said, I got these from Aldi. It's my first time trying them. I'm kind of excited about it. They were packaged kind of like the Beyond Meat burgers. Now, guys, I don't eat these foods very often, and these are what I call like every now and then, right? You can have these every now and then, but you primarily want to eat whole plant-based foods because that's really what's going to be nourishing your body from the inside out. It helps your body heal, but it also provides it with the nutrients to do the functions that they're supposed to do. Every plant that's in nature comes perfectly packaged for you, right? You have the different colors, which provide phytochemicals and phytonutrients. They're very mineral rich, vitamin rich. They have fiber, lots of water. And so we want to, feed off of that. And so you want to eat the rainbow, eat as many fruits and vegetables as you can. I tell people, just when you're transitioning to a plant-based lifestyle, start with trying to just change your meals, change every meal that you have and try to incorporate as many either fruits or veggies as possible. That way you can get more comfortable eating plants long term. We got some popping going on here, probably from the water.
I just learned a whole lot about coconut oil.
Yeah.
And because I think, there was a push at one point for coconut oil to, it's supposed to be healthy. Like that was the thing. It's healthy, but you don't know until you know.
Right.
So I did not realize you can swish it around in your mouth for 30 minutes, nor did I know that you weren't supposed to heat it up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the same with, olive oil. I mean, the same with olive oil, because all of your cooks on all of the networks, they're like, EVOO, cook with that, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm. Rosemary, use olive oil, or use the truffles. And like in theory, those taste good, but like I said, they're not supposed to be heated up at higher temperatures. And yeah, I mean, you don't know until you know.
We're cooking. Can you talk a little bit about what you're studying while you're cooking and how you got to be so smart?
I think I got that from you, but in terms of what what I do now, what I'm currently studying, I study proteins, and so I'm at the University of Maryland, Baltimore, in the Department of Pharmaceutical Sciences, and what my lab does is we use it's like a protein tagging technique, right? And so we take what's called a hydroxy radical, or it's like it's an OH group. So an oxygen and a hydrogen, you can tag a protein and get structural information from it. And so we use that to correlate the structure-function relationship on the biological level to really understand the foundations of different diseases or how drugs can work. I am still thinking about how I want to apply this, after college or after I graduate. But right now I'm kind of just enjoying the ride. I am a biologist by training, but I'm very interested in herbal medicine, plant biology, pharmacology, herbal remedies and herbal medicine. I'm in traditional medicines.
And you got your certificate. Thank you. Yes, so cancer runs heavily in our family. And when I was in my mid to late 20s, I started studying naturopathic cures for cancer. And so that's what shifted our entire, how we eat, our diet. I fell off, Raquel fell off at some point, but she was a child. But as an adult, she has really done a great job at shifting to making sure that she is eating well and putting those principles to use. If I had it to do all over again, I would be a naturopathic doctor. I think, but Raquel is absolutely walking in my footsteps, and I love it. She recently, within the past year, got her certification in, Raquel, is it naturopathic?
Holistic health.
What is it? There you go, holistic health and nutrition. I actually have a certification in nutrition as well, but it is not in holistic nutrition. So we're going to go with an expert named Raquel Shortt.
There you go.
That was kind of triggering for me, not in a bad way though. So
go ahead.
Have this idea, right, in our community specifically that, oh, this runs in my family. Diabetes runs in my family. Cancer runs in my family. High blood pressure runs in my family. But we don't, we sugarcoat it, right? Because it's not, in some cases, yes, there can always be a biological component. I'm not negating that at all. But what really runs in the family is the eating habits, the food, the culture. You know, we grew up in households where our grandmothers and great grandmothers would, you know, get together, have chitlins, pig's feet, pickled pig's feet, fried chicken, ribs, right? Whether that be fried or grilled, both of which are very bad because you're frying it not in the oils that you're supposed to use, but, you know, hydrogenated oils, fatty oils like either soy, peanut, vegetable oil, right? Coating it in tons of salt, seasonings, white flour. And so it's those eating habits that run in the family that contribute to these diseases that we don't sit and have a conversation about. We don't talk about it, right? And so, yes, there can always be a hereditary and biological component, but what we don't talk about enough is how when you give your body the proper nourishment, it can heal itself. Like our bodies are so powerful, and we don't even tap into all of that power because we're not feeding it what it needs to thrive, right? We get by just living, kind of just grazing the surface of what it feels to in theory feel good. But when you really start, you know, fueling your body with the right things, you'll realize toxins coming every orifice of your body until you're healed or until all of it's gone. Right. And then your symptoms of those diseases or the symptoms of that toxicity no longer are present. Right. You can reverse allergies. You can reverse diabetes. In theory, in some cases, people talk about, you know, reversing their cancer. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen in every case, but it certainly is possible. Right. With the proper nourishment, with the proper tools, the body can heal itself. And so the idea of, you know, those things running in your family, yes, that can be true. But we have to talk about the root cause.
Yeah.
Right? That's one of the root causes. Poor eating
Absolutely.
habits.
Yep.
Can certainly be a root cause.
Oh, you said, oh, yes, absolutely. He said the holistic medicine conversation reminds me of my Geechee background. My great-grandmother and grandmother were always using herbal remedies. Oh, yeah, it absolutely goes back. Because, I mean, in those times, we couldn't just run to the doctors like, you know, other people did, because we were enslaved, but we didn't have the money. So they had to use the resources and the land. That's where that concept of living off the land comes from, to provide us with all of our nutrients as well as our remedies and cures for the diseases or ailments that we had.
Right.
Yes, Philip, lifestyle is a game changer. Absolutely. And, you know, I always think about when Raquel was little, she had been eating, my mom and grandmother used to appease her all the time with her. She wanted crabs and shrimp all the time. And they would buy into that foolishness, and they were giving her like seafood. And she'd had seafood for days. And she got sick one time and she couldn't get well. I tried everything that I knew from a naturopathic standpoint to try to get her well. And then I was like, well, let me try some old school, you know, medication. I tried everything I could. That girl was sick for like a month. And finally, because she had to be maybe about 8 or 9 years old, no more than 10. yeah, maybe 9. And I finally, my naturopathic doctor does not see children. And I finally called her and I said, Dr. Porter, I can't get Raquel well. I don't know what's going on. And she said, Raquel is a pretty tall girl. Do you think she'll fit in my little cabin? She has this oxygen tank. And I said, I think she will. She said, all right, come on, bring the baby in. And Raquel sat in. So she would, when I would go go see her, she puts you in like this oxygen tank, and you're naked, and she runs ozone through it, and so you sweat, but you could also feel. It's almost, I mean, it's a crazy healing power. Whenever I would get out, I would just feel so energized, but you got to go wash it all off because she's directly pulling toxins out of your body. And another time I had a really bad ear infection and I was about to get on a flight and she was like, don't you take any medication? Come in here real fast. She put oxygen in my ear. By the time I walked out, my ear infection was gone, like gone. So at that point, I was like 27. I don't take medication, haven't taken any since. But she put Raquel in that tank. And she would put a white towel under you. She's now retired. But when Raquel got off of that towel, the towel was like filled with grime and it was like all brown with these black speckles. And I'm like, dang, it's never looked like that for me. And I've been coming here for years. And what she said was kids don't have the buildup that adults have. It takes us longer to detox than it does a child. Raquel walked out of her office. Do you know that girl was well?
Wow.
Yes. So she had a overload of iodine in her system. And that's what they had. Mercury, I'm sorry, mercury.
Yeah,
she had an overload of mercury in her system, and that's why she couldn't get well. And so she had to pull all of that out of her. And I'm telling you, I was like, amazing. And I told you guys I've been doing research on naturopathic cures since my mid to late 20s. And one of the things that they say is that disease cannot live in a highly oxygenated body. And so that's why she did oxygen therapy. And you can't get that oxygen everywhere, but the one thing, if it's ever a thunderstorm, as soon as it stops raining, run outside and take in all the fresh air you can get. Because if you notice, when it rains and it thunders and it's lightning outside, when it stops and it's sunny out, how pretty is your grass? Tell me. It's bright green because your grass just got all the nutrients that it needed to survive and to live. And the same thing goes for us. So go outside, get all that oxygen because it's really good for your body. All right, Raquel, you want to go?
I do have a question.
I'm a firm believer in the the herbal remedies and the naturopathic medicine. It's interesting being on sort of like I'm on the in between, right? I straddle between both sides. I straddle between modern medicine and naturopathic medicine, and I see the power of both. Right? I see the power and the value of both. But I know for my body, my first defense, I'm going to my herbs. Right? I'm going to I want to be like an apothecary grandma and have like an herb
yes.
and just be able to pick, what you said hurt? Okay, let me go grab this, and this. And either with a tincture, a tea, concoction of some sort. Because there's so much power in plants that we just don't tap into. Right? Whenever I get sick or a stomach ache, and especially with the pandemic, I take antiviral herbs on a daily basis, and I keep it. I'll show you guys. I keep it in this little jar because you're supposed to keep everything in glass, and I drink this throughout the week. Right, and so this will have. I think my favorite blends right now are like chaparral because that's a super antibacterial, antiviral. And then some like sarsaparilla for iron, some burdock root and dandelion for iron and mineral support. And then I think it's called Mexican guaco. I think that's one of them. Minerals and drink your sea moss, guys. Sea moss and bladderwrack. That's your sea elements are going to be really powerful in getting those amino acids and different minerals. And then your superfoods too, like goji berry or noni powder. those are my favorites. So I'll add these to like my smoothies. These are also going to be very mineral rich, and very alkaline for your body. And like I said, it'll allow you to promote healing. And that's really what we want to do. You want to set up an environment for your body so that it can be oxygenated and highly alkaline. Because disease can't thrive in those environments. You don't have to worry about evading disease if you don't have an environment that can fester that, right? And so when you have all of those toxins and the meat build up, the cheese build up, that's when you start getting, or like heavily processed foods, alcohol, right? All of those things can really weigh on your body's ability to function, and we see it. So it's listening to your body, doing what's best, and really listen. Your body will tell you when it feels good and when it doesn't.
Oh yeah, it absolutely does. Miss Dawn, you had a question?
I do. So for me, with a toddler, he's trying to learn how to. I'm trying to expose him to different things. And I also have a therapy dog, and he's talking right now. Normally he doesn't bark, but he is this time. But my question is more so for children or for mothers with children. What would you recommend to try to get the babies into plant-based and talk to those mothers that might be a little skeptical, thinking that there's not enough nutrients?
That's a good question. So I would say for the babies, one, make the food fun, and then recreate the foods that they like. Like if your kid will throw down some fried chicken, recreate that food, right? So you can use oyster mushrooms. That's my favorite. Whenever I make it for Thanksgiving, the family's asking me to make it by the bag, make it by the barrel.
Yes, when I tell you, there are none left. We fight over those oyster mushrooms because they are they taste like fried chicken.
Yeah, it tastes just like fried chicken. And so you recreate, don't change the food, change the ingredients. Make things that they're familiar with, but don't tell them that it's plants, right? Just put it on their plate. And if it's going to look like fried chicken, they're just going to eat it, right? And then you can get them involved with it too, so that they know, where their food is coming from. And then in terms of the nutrient aspect, I would say making sure that the parents are well versed in how to food combine. So I think the biggest thing is, like I said, you want to eat the rainbow, eat as many natural food, whole foods as possible. And that means just intentionally integrating it into every meal. So you want of course, your protein, which can come in the form of chickpeas, quinoa. It's interesting. Things like kale, your vegetables and stuff can have protein in it too. And one fun fact about kale, it has more vitamin C than an orange, right? And so if you give your kid, a hearty kale salad, not something that's like bland, but, give them something that's tasty. It'll taste, as long as it tastes good, kids don't care. And then lead by example too, because kids are going to follow what you do. I'm trying to think. I guess, are there any other questions? Because I don't have kids, so I can't really relate to that.
There is a question. Are you almost ready to plate up everything that you made?
I was waiting for a moment where I could. We're good to
go now. So there's one more question, and then we can watch you plate it all up. So Mr. Young said, you mentioned that disease can't live in a highly oxygenated environment. What is the emphasis on drinking alkaline-based water? So I will tell you,
fantastic question.
I drink spring water or distilled water, but other people have so go ahead, Raquel, I'll let you.
That's a great question. And I'm so glad that you asked that question. The phrase with these alkaline waters, in my opinion, I'm not going to call it a hoax, but it's not nature, right? Our bodies are nature. We are made of carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, things that can be found in nature. Now, what they do with those alkalized water, and you can read the bottles, reading your labels, guys, is so, so important. Spring water will tell you it comes from this spring, and in this area, it can come from Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, whatever. If you read the bottle of like an alkaline water, 9.5 pH, it'll tell you it has small particulates in it, right? And those particulates are going to help alkalize the water. That means that water is not naturally alkaline, but they're manipulating the state of that water. They first have to purify it and filter it, but water has a natural pH of 7 usually. So in order to get it to a pH of 9, they have to add stuff to make the pH higher. And then that's what they market to you as alkaline water, right? And so if you're wanting to get you know, I guess the best water, in my opinion, is probably going to be spring water. So I mean, things like Fiji water are okay in my opinion. You know, the deer parks, but as long as it comes from nature. Nature needs to feed nature, right? You don't want to stray so far from nature. That's why you're not supposed to have that many processed foods. Like these burgers, every once in a while, right? You can have those once a month. That's not going to kill you, right? As long as you're eating whole plant-based foods outside of that. And so the same thing with your water. You want your water to come from nature. You don't want your water to basically be like filtered water with particulates to make it alkaline. Because then what is the value of that? Your body still has to process the particulates. And then what is it left with? Regular water?
I'm feeling good. I did something right with the water.
Yes, and I drink distilled water, and I'll share this. When we have our irons that we use to iron our clothes, when they get all filled with that gook and that junk, what type of water does it say we should use to clean it? It's distilled water. The same thing for people who use CPAPs. They have to use distilled water. Yes. So it's the same thing. We're cleaning our bodies out of gook and junk. Everything I've studied said that distilled water was good, but spring water is also good as well. So I drink spring water and distilled water. Yeah, I don't drink those waters that have like added things to it. So Raquel, are you ready to plate?
Yep, sorry, I was just grabbing
my favorite part.
Yes, let's see what we're eating tonight.
So tonight, like I said, this is an Aldi kind of night. So got some sesame dressing from Aldi, got some kale, and I put peppers in here. I usually have like avocados and some other fun things. You can toss quinoa in there or chickpeas, really whatever your heart desires. But my thing with salads is you want to beef them up. You never want to just have lettuce. One, that's really boring, and two, it's not maximizing that meal or that dish. So I like to eat the rainbow. Avocados, peppers, if you like onions, add onions, quinoa, chickpeas, things like that. I like to evenly distribute the sauces in my salads. I don't like to just pour it on top. So I'll put my salad in a little gallon bag and shake it up just to make sure everything is evenly distributed.
I like that you said too, eat the rainbow. So the more colorful your plate, the better it is for nutrition.
Yes.
Absolutely. And so now we just have to grab these skewers.
This is the best part.
Yes. I'm mad I'm not near her, that I could go get dinner tonight.
And so it's a little more char than I would like, but on broil, all the flavors and the seasoning gets enriched inside of the vegetables, and it turns out really, really nice. And so you can plate it with your salad and your burger. So we got a skewer, a little bit of salad, and however, I'm a classic cheeseburger fan. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a whole sucker for a classic cheeseburger. And then so you put on top of it what you like. I think for plating purposes, I'm gonna not dress it up just yet. But the burger seemed to turn out pretty nice. It didn't crumble. I think I like the texture so far. And yeah, salad.
That looks so good. Yes.
We got salad. We got skewers. I'll add another one just to tease you guys.
We need smell-o-vision. Yes.
And so these are kind of like this is probably my favorite summer like barbecue dish. I always have skewers. I think Mom, you like grilled pineapples and other grilled fruits. But plant-based burgers are the new wave for me, and skewers, salad, and yeah, nice, simple, easy, and then you can feel that cookout craving when the summertime comes.
Absolutely. And then you feel full, so you can go and hang out and party and, be out there with the kids, running and acting like you're still young again. I was doing that yesterday with Zach, running around Walmart like I was 5 years old. We were racing at top speed up and down the aisles in Walmart. And I'm like, excuse me, pardon me, because I was like, this little 5-year-old is not going to beat me. But yeah, oh my goodness. So that looks good. Hold that plate up one more time, so everybody can see what she's got here.
Oh, good.
So onions, mushrooms, red peppers, green peppers. Do you have orange peppers on there too, Cal?
Yep, absolutely.
Orange peppers. Then you've got a nice kale salad. And the thing with kale too is you want to make sure, they call it massaging the leaves, so that you get the dressing in really well, because it makes it a little softer. And so it's really, really good. And I've been trying to eat kale every single day. And she's got some peppers and onions in there. I add avocado to mine too as well. So it's really good eating. And once you start eating really healthy, it's hard not to. When you have some junk food, you're kind of like, I think I want what I had the other day. Yeah, it doesn't feel right anymore. So thank you so much, Raquel. We are at our hour. So Dawn, thank you. I absolutely loved your analogy of taking a flight, and how all of the instructions and getting from your one destination to the other is really how we should take a look at self-care and our mental health awareness, and making sure that we are taking care of self first before we are able to take care of other people. Raquel, thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge about how we can be healthy from the inside out, and to be able to avoid disease and just feel wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you. Tonight is our season finale of Live with Renee season 2. It has been I want to say, even though it's fewer episodes, I feel like this season was so great. And what made it so great was all of you listening and that see this even when after the live is over. But all of my guests that I had a guest every single episode, and you guys really made this fun and exciting and wonderful for me. And don't know when season 3 will be out, but it'll come out at some point. So thank you guys so much. I want to wish you guys a wonderful weekend, a wonderful and productive week, and be blessed for the remainder of the summer. And I'll probably see you guys sometime in either September or October. Thank you.
Be good to yourselves. Be good to yourselves.
Yes. Bye, everyone.